Once upon a time I was going to do another 24-hour movie marathon. That was Monday. It did not happen. 2 movies in, something went wrong. I started getting sick in the stomach, I got a bug, I lost focus, I could not do it. So I needed to get something out, and I kind of rethought it and found a plan B and worked through it. And this is the first part of plan B. So, what is plan B? Plan B is I'm going to do the 12 movies that I had lined up for the 24-hour movie session, but I'm going to review them in a little more detail than I would during that kind of a format, and I'm going to put them out every 2 days. So basically for the next 24 days, you're going to get a movie review every 2 days on this channel. And if you'd like to support it, you can go to the Patreon and donate as little as $1 US a month at patreon.com/paleocinema. Not sure if anybody's going to do it, but the first person that does gets my eternal love. Anyway, moving right along. First movie is up. Good in some senses. A lot of people like it who saw it originally in 1987 when it came out. And it's this. Angel Heart, directed by Alan Parker, starring Mickey Rourke before all of that facial shit went on, Robert DeNiro with a man bun, and Lisa Bonet, who at the time was on The Cosby Show. More of that later. It's kind of a supernatural detective thriller set in 1955, and it's stylized as hell. Mickey Rourke plays Harry Angel, a private eye who's hired by a mysterious man, Louis Siffer, played by Robert De Niro, in a very low-key, laid-back and kind of menacing way, which is fantastic. That's the best part of the film, is any of the small scenes, and there aren't too many of them with Robert De Niro in them. So Robert De Niro's character hires Harry to find a missing guy. He's been missing since World War II. He was a crooner, lounge singer kind of guy called Johnny Favorite, who disappeared in 1943. He was in a nursing home after the war because he had some injuries and things like that. But for some reason, Louis Siffer, I'm tempted to say Louis C.K., but that's not right. Louis Siffer wants to find this guy and is willing to pay Harry a lot of money to do it. Harry starts his investigation and finds all sorts of weird people, like a drug-addicted doctor, a flirty nurse, and a bunch of other people who start mysteriously dying. His investigation then takes him to Louisiana, where he wanders through New Orleans and Baton Rouge. He meets a wealthy fortune teller, played by Charlotte Rampling, who does a really nice job of the role as well. And also a woman called Epiphany Proudfoot, played by Lisa Bonet. Now here's where it gets interesting from a sociological point of view. At the time, Lisa Bonet was on The Cosby Show with that rapist Bill Cosby. She had a very kind of pure image on television, and then suddenly she decides to do this Alan Parker movie where there's nudity and sex scenes and all sorts of things like that, and it was very controversial at the time. Lisa Bonet said in an interview that she actually asked Bill Cosby for advice on whether she should take the role, and he said yes. That then takes on a sinister connotation, of course, when we now know what sort of person Bill Cosby is. But leaving that aside, she's in it, she's good, she's very charismatic. There are those intense nude and sex scenes, which are what they are, I suppose. But she's good in it. But the interesting thing is Mickey Rourke's character. Mickey Rourke was, at that stage, a pretty big star before he kind of went off the rails. But he was never a fantastically good actor from my point of view. He was very stylized. He owed a lot to actors who came before him. There's a little bit of Marlon Brando, a little bit of James Dean in there. There's also, which is amusing for me, a little bit of Alan Arkin's character Harry Rowe Jr. in Wait Until Dark. Compare the two.
Start with, who are you?
I'm Harry Rowe Jr. from Scottsdale.
I'm a private detective paid to snoop around.
So of course I'm not doing spoilers on this movie, but there is a turnabout and the movie changes genre part the way through, which I'm fine with, but there are a couple of things I don't really love about the movie. The first one is the mise en scène, all of the set design, all the world around the characters. It's very stylized and very grimy and very kind of cruddy. That doesn't really work for me because there are a lot of kind of period pieces of products and things like that that are put there, which would be in new packaging were they really in 1955, but they found old packaging and just showed it the way it was now, or in 1987 at least, 30 odd years later, 28 years later. And everything looks kind of grottier than it should. If you have a look at any documentary footage of those parts of New York during the 1950s, they didn't look that shitty. And the next bit is there's a lot of symbolism in this movie. There are symbolisms of stairs, of dripping water, of elevators, of deep shadows and all sorts of things like that. And it is shoveled on. The symbolism is laid on so heavily it gets bloody annoying after a while. Really, really, really annoying. The climax, which includes DeNiro, I like because I like the low-key approach he takes to this role. It's not the usual thing where he's playing a Robert De Niro kind of character. He's pulling back a little bit. He's doing less is more, and that really works. But I've got a real problem with the Mickey Rourke character. In any private eye movie, even one like this which has a turnaround and has reasons for a character to be the way it is, you've got to have a protagonist that's relatable. We know a little bit about them. They're quirky, they're a bit fun, they're kind of interesting. Private eyes are deeply embedded in movies in the moral code of the private eye. He's the leper with the most fingers, as Jack Nicholson says in The Two Jakes. In this one, the character's not likable. He's not relatable. He's not given any history or background for reasons which of course are part of the twist of the plot. But you've got to give the audience that little bit of association with the protagonist, which this movie lacks. But having said that, a lot of people liked it in 1987. A lot of people say it's their favourite movie of the time. And fair enough too, but on reviewing, and I did see it at the time, on reviewing I can see more of the weaknesses to it. If you like this kind of a movie where a private eye gets mixed up in supernatural stuff, go for it. It's worth a rewatch. I did spend a little bit of money to get the Blu-ray, and I may watch it again in the future, but still I'm aware of those weaknesses, and I'm aware of the fact that had it been done by somebody else, it would have been much more interesting. There were a couple of casting things which were really cool too. Originally, Alan Parker wanted Robert De Niro to play the detective. And I kind of love the idea of Robert De Niro playing a private eye. He then asked Jack Nicholson to do it, but of course Jack Nicholson had played Jake Gitters in Chinatown. And this would have kind of blurred that. I think having one iconic Jack Nicholson private eye role was enough. So they then went to Mickey Rourke, and Mickey Rourke did the job. I think that had De Niro or Nicholson done it, I would have liked it better. Check the movie out. It's around and about the place. You'll find it somewhere on a streaming service. You'll also find it here in Australia at least, fairly inexpensively in the big yellow DVD shop. It's worth checking out. So go for it and let me know what you think. So in a couple of days I'm coming up with the next movie. Please stick around for that one. In the meantime, thank you for watching. Please do the like, subscribe, comment kind of thing. It's always welcome, and I love interacting with the people who watch these videos. And I'll be back in a couple of days with the next one. See you then.